started 19 and was now 10th overall. Drama at the first service point. Chebek collided with Makakaneni and damaged the V-motor's Chinaway.
Yeah, man, early on in the dust we got lost, and because the dust was bad, so somebody nearly went hit the fence, so we tried to stop behind him in the dust, but it was too late. So there he was, and we were going quite quick, and we hit him very, very hard up the backside and popped our master cylinder, bent our front wheel, got out, tried to fix it, worked for about 10-15 k's, but then the brakes packed up completely, and we did last like 20-30 k's with no brakes, and it's really dangerous. So we're going to fix it, and if we can fix it, we carry on. If we don't fix it, we're not driving without brakes.
The consistent Henry and Marisa Matten held down second place in Class D in the Sony PlayStation Pajero, but they had fellow Class D contenders Duncan Foss and Mike Griffith in the Valid Value Nissan Hardbody breathing down their necks. An hour into the race, Henry Kirstein and Herman Grieser had matters in control in Class B in the Deeds Drilling Service Sandmaster. Behind them, it looked like the charge of the Light Brigade as Steve Whiteheld and J.J. Kelly in the Class A N1 4x4 Pajero and a pack of Class A and B contenders came chasing after them. Class E champions Andrew and Chris Birkin, who hail from Barberton, had led the Class E field from the start in the Castrol Toyota Hilux, but were being chased hard by KwaZulu-Natal cane farmers Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham in the diesel-powered Mareka Ford Ranger. Not too far behind was Harvey van Deventer in the N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux. 2.5 hours and 180 kilometers into the route, there was a new leader. Woolridge and Skoldhammer had moved from 6th to 1st overall in the Mareka Ford Ranger. The pace was certainly hot. Hannes Horbler and Richard Leake in the 3.5-litre V6-powered Nissan Hardbody had been relegated to 2nd, but were chasing as hard as ever. Freiburg farmer R.P. Reinecker had got by Greg Dowse and was having a good run in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Back on board with de Villiers and Jordan as they passed the terminally stricken Jinko of Makahaneni and prepared to pass Carolyn and Testega in the Pajero. Ever the gentleman, Carolyn pulled over for the hard-charging de Villiers. The Nissan pair were now 5th overall, but then matters went a little awry. This encounter with a gatepost punctured the right front tire. Johannesburg businessman Carolyn regained the position he had lost to de Villiers. Despite having to stop at every service point to take on water to cool the radiator of the vacation van's Jeep, Paolo Piazza Musso and Scott Abraham had moved up to 6th overall and were closing in on the leading pack. Former multiple saloon car champion de Villiers and co-driver Jordan changed the flat wheel in record time and were again hunting down the leaders. The talented Powell-based youngster has won 2 events this season and was looking for a 3rd on the Mareka Ford Caledon 400. Oh, the sound of another puncture. Ulrich and Skoldhammer arrive at the midway service halt in the lead. A quick pit stop to take on fluid and replace the punctured wheel, and the Mareka Ford pair were on their way again. Reinecker and Houghton arrived in 3rd place. Unlike the Ford and Pajero, the Toyota has to take on a full load of fuel at the midway point.
Just sat behind Greg Dowse and got a little bit held up there, so we lost a little bit of touch with Hannes in the 4th, but still a long way to go, so we'll see what happens.
Carolyn arrived in 4th place in Class T and 5th overall and only had a brief pit stop. De Villiers followed close on Carolyn's heels. The Nissan Motorsport technicians, including team boss Glenn Hall, swarmed over the Nissan while De Villiers took on some refreshments.
How far are we behind? 5 minutes 10 now. Good one then? Yeah.
how's it going?
Yeah, we're just having punches all the time. I don't know what's going on. Just in a straight line. It's very, very annoying. So we just get to the front and then we fall back again. So it's really pissing me off. But anyway, that's how it goes.
Greg Harvey and Boy Stone were involved in a running battle for second position in the special vehicle category, with their arch rivals John Weir Smith and Jeff Minute in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Gymco.
How's it going out there, John?
Oh, it's wonderful. We had some electrical problems. Our rev limiter was cutting out and causing the problems. Let's now sort it out.
Another lead change 300 kilometers into the route. Hannes Grobler and Richard Leake in the Nissan Hardbody had taken charge and looked to be likely winners of the Mareka Ford Caledon 400. The Nissan had performed faultlessly, and unlike their teammates, they had not picked up any punctures. Reinecker and Houghton were now second overall in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, but had Carolyn and Testega hot on their heels. Carolyn just couldn't get past Reinecker and seemed destined to drive in the Toyota's dust for the entire event. The clutch on the Mareka Ford Ranger had started slipping intermittently, and as a result, Woolridge was forced to slow his pace. Apart from one season in Group N, special vehicle category leader Greg Dowse also raced off-road motorcycles for 4 years in the early 90s. Camille de Villiers and Francois Jordan were now 6th overall and rapidly closing in on the leaders. With just over 100 kilometers to go, there was a chance that they could win, barring any further punctures or technical maladies. Weir Smith and Minute was second in the special vehicle category. Whoops, driver error, navigator error. No one seemed to care, and they were on their way again. Harvey and Stone had settled into a comfortable third place in Class A. Mark Corbett and Juan Moore had taken the Class D lead in the Petronas Cinti Isuzu and looked set to make it 4 class wins in a row. The Isuzu, now minus body panels, has proved to be a formidable contender in Class D. Hein Grobler and Perrot Prinsley were not too far behind the Isuzu and remained a constant threat in the valid value Nissan Hardbody. Andrew and Chris Birkin had Class E all but sewn up in the Castrol Toyota Hilux, which had proved to be a little unreliable on previous events. Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham were an ever-present threat to the Birkins. Any points gained would help consolidate their Class E championship lead in the Mareka Ford Ranger. Gary and Bodo Berthold started 53rd after failing to complete the time trial. They eventually finished 12th overall in the Nissan V6-powered M&E Glass Dirt Co., designed and built by Brandon Harkis. Born in 1942, Father Bodo started off-road racing in 1971. Less than an hour to go in this grueling race, and the leaders were still Grobler and Leake in the Nissan Hardbody. Sadly, their race would be run soon after this point when the motor expired. This unfortunate turn of events played right into the hands of teammates de Villiers and Jordan, who had suffered 4 punctures up to this point in the race. R.P. Reinecker and Robin Houghton experienced a trouble-free run in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser and looked set for a well-earned podium finish. Carolyn attempted to pass Reinecker with 20 kilometers to go and picked up a puncture and was fortunate not to lose a place. The Mareka Ford was still being plagued by a slipping clutch and would eventually finish 6th overall and 4th in the production vehicle category. Dowse and co-driver Trevor Omerod, who was competing in his first ever national championship event as a co-driver, had the special vehicle category all but tied up. However, he couldn't slow his pace by 1 second because Weir Smith was closing the gap in the more powerful Gymco. Chepik Sr. and Parker soldiered on without brakes after their early morning accident. A high-speed encounter with a donga resulted in Chepik injuring 3 fingers quite severely. The finish of the Mareka Ford Caledon 400, and Camille de Villiers and Francois Jordan scored their 3rd win of the season in the Nissan Hardbody Super Truck. Nissan Motorsport boss Glenn Hall's early morning instruction to de Villiers, stating that he shouldn't bother to start if he cannot win, seemed to be just the right incentive for de Villiers. A fine second place overall for Api Reiniger and Robin Houghton in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser.
Probably the hardest that I've ever driven in my whole off-road, short little off-road career. But we made it, and we're here at the finish, and I'm very, very happy for us, for ourselves, and for Nissan, and for the whole team. I think it's going to be a big morale booster to show them that we can come from behind and actually win the race.
We're very glad to be here. We sort of keep up with the Nissans and the Ford, but we've got a lack of power. We're not able to sort of get past them. So, but we're quite happy they had a clean run, and sort of restore our confidence in the car.
De Villiers took the overall win and Class T. Heinz Robler finished 6th in the production vehicle category and 1st in Class D, ahead of Schumi van Vieren. The Birkins picked up a well-deserved Class E win. Greg Dowse and Trevor Amerod won their first ever national championship event after leading the special vehicle category from start to finish. John Weir-Smith and Jeff Minnett stormed through from 35th to 2nd in the special vehicle category.
We've been working hard for a year to get here, and now we've got a full-time mechanic working on the car, Evan Hutchinson, and he's done a great job of bringing this car. Really, it's the reliability. We had no problems the whole day. We just didn't have a fifth gear, unfortunately, for these super quick buckies, but we held it together, and that was what it's all about.
Well, I think it was pretty close. We started, I think, 34th or 37th, I'm not sure. It was a really well-marked race. A lot of fun. I look forward to doing it next year. I just can compliment everyone on putting a great event together.
Dowse clinched the win. Weir-Smith got the better of Harvey in the Class A battle, while in Class B, Gavin Gray finished ahead of reigning Class B champion Hill Nell in the Look Africa Truggy.